Now it's time to make our first iterator, and you're going to see why we talked about associated types last time, and hopefully this will make it very easy to understand. I think with the last video and this video together, you'll have an easy time making your own iterators. So let's say imagine we have a library, and it is we're putting together some sort of database, and we're going to have some libraries in there, and there's going to be a library type. I'll write this out first so that we know what we're talking about. So there's going to be city libraries, and there's going to be country libraries. So countries or libraries outside of the city. We will give them both debug and clone, and then the books in every library are going to be a vec of strings. So that'll just be the titles of the books. And now we are going to first we'll implement our library. So we're not making an iterator yet, and we'll just give it a few cool functions. So we will add a book, and the way we'll do that is we will take in a mutable reference to, not mute book, self. So we will change self by doing this. We'll say self.books, which is the vec up there, and we're going to push in the book to string, which is pretty easy. We just type a stir, and it turns into a string and puts it inside. And then a new function, and it of course returns self, and we will give it nothing, and it will just make a let's see, the library type will be a library type city. We'll say by default most libraries are going to be in the city, and then the books will just be a new vec, so that will be empty, and we can start pushing things into it. And now we are going to make our iterator, and this is going to be fun. So let's say let's push this up a little. So implement iterator for library. So what are we going to do? We let's say every time we want to cycle through our list of books, and we want to print out the titles. And so the way we'll do that, we'll say first we need the associated type. And you remember when you have an iterator, you have this thing here, type item. So we can call it whatever. We can call it B, but we'll just call it type item because don't want to confuse anybody watching. And we'll just say type item equals string. So remember, this is a type alias. So we're calling it an item here, but we're saying it's actually a string. It's exactly the same. So we do that, and then after that we have to make our next function, because you can say iterator, you have a required method next, and so this is a public function next. So it takes a mute self, and it has to return an option self item, and self item actually means string. So you can return it, or you can write it one of two ways. Let's put it in here. So it takes in a mute self, option self item, and self item is self item is actually a string. So you can also write option string. So I'm going to put that in commented out. This is exactly the same. So you can write it either way you want. The same as option string. And then, whoops, and then I'm going to put this above because it's getting in the way. Okay, and then we put in some logic. So what will we do? We have this vec of books, and we are going to match self.books.pop. So we're going to pop off the last thing and look at it. And what is it? Well, it could be some, or it could be none. So if it's some, we'll call it a book, and then we will return a some, let's see, book. something is found, and then if it's none, then we're going to return none. So now, so every time we call next, it's going to give us this or give us this, which is what an iterator does. And so that's that is how, you know, we've just implemented iterator. So that was hopefully easier than you thought. And then we make a new library, and then we're going to use this my library add book function, add book, which you'll remember is this thing here. You all you have to do is give it a type a stir, and then it will put the book in there for us. So I will copy and paste this part because I have a bunch of non-English books there. We've got, well, there's an English one. There's Damien die Geschichte einer Jugend, Kunmung, and Wagahayo Neko Dearu. And then we're now going to be able to use a for loop because we implemented iterator. So we can say for item, let's say book, for book in my library, and then we are going to print it out, just nice and simple. And then we do that. And hopefully I did everything right, and there are no errors. Let's see what's going on here. Books vec new. Yeah, we don't need a semicolon there. It should be a comma or nothing. One of the two. And there we go. So we did it. We can now iterate through my library, and it's going through, and it starts from the back and it says, hey, Wagahayo Neko Dearu is found, Kunmung is found, Damien die Geschichte einer Jugend is found, and finally it gets back to first one we put in, the Doom of the Dark Sword. So you can see the logic inside this next function is entirely up to you. We could make it, you know, return some forever. We could have it always return none. We could go, you know, back and forth. So that's why, you know, you need this associated item and a bunch of logic, because there's no way for Rust to know what kind of iterator you want, and you have to think, you know, what do I want to return? And if you have that set up really well in your mind, then it's actually easier to make than you might expect.